The bass pounded through 50,000 bodies packed under the summer sky. Thunder Rock Festival was in full swing, stages roaring with metal bands, laser lights cutting through the twilight, and chaos that felt like freedom. For 3 days every summer, this place became a world of its own. Where the music was loud, the drinks were cold, and nobody asked questions near the south stage. Marcus Reaper Stone stood with his arms crossed, his crimson devil's cut marking him as someone most people gave a wide berth. At 38, with a scarred face and the kind of presence that made security nervous, he wasn't here to enjoy the music. He was here because his club had sponsored a stage. Good PR, they said. Show the community we're not the monsters they think we are. But Marcus wasn't watching the stage. He was watching the crowd. 20 years riding with a motorcycle club teaches you to read people, to spot trouble before it starts, to recognize when something's wrong even when everyone else sees normal. And that's when he saw her. A young woman, maybe 19 or 20, stumbling between two men in polo shirts and khakis. Her eyes were glassy, unfocused, like she was looking at the world through frosted glass. One of the men had his hand on her lower back, guiding her away from the crowd, toward the VIP section. She wasn't laughing, wasn't smiling, wasn't moving like someone having a good time. Something in Marcus's gut twisted. He'd seen that look before. He'd seen it in his nightmares for 12 years. If you already feel something's wrong, type, "Trust your instinct" in the comments. 12 years ago. Marcus's sister Kayla was 17. Bright, beautiful, full of life. She'd gone to a concert with friends on a Saturday night. She texted Marcus at 9 p.m., excited, happy. The message said, "Some guys invited us to VIP. So cool. Don't wait up, big bro." She never came home. Security footage from that night showed her leaving the venue with two well-dressed men. Her movements were slow, uncertain. Her eyes had that same glassy look, drugged, disoriented, gone. The police investigated. The case went cold after 3 months. Kayla became another statistic, another face on a missing persons website that nobody checks anymore. And Marcus became a man with a mission he could never talk about, not even to his brothers in the club. He volunteered with trafficking prevention groups under a fake name. He studied the patterns, learned the signs, carried guilt like a second skin because he couldn't save the one person who mattered most. Now, standing in this festival crowd watching another girl with that same look, Marcus felt his past and present collide. He moved through the crowd, keeping the girl in sight. His hand went to his phone, pulling up a number he'd saved years ago. Detective Sarah Chen. Human Trafficking Task Force. They'd worked together before, off the books, when Marcus's tips had led to 2 successful rescues. But before he could dial, one of the men noticed him. Their eyes met across 20 feet of crowd. The man's expression shifted from casual to calculating in half a second. He knew Marcus saw. They sped up, guiding the girl toward a restricted gate marked VIP staff only. Marcus quickened his pace, pushing through the crowd. "Hey," he called out. "Hey, sweetheart, you okay?" The girl's head turned slightly, confusion swimming in her eyes. One of the men stepped between them, his smile pleasant but his eyes cold. "Oh, she's fine, man. She's with us." Marcus looked past him at the girl. She was swaying on her feet. "Is that true? You know these guys?" She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Her legs buckled slightly, and the second man caught her, holding her upright. "She's had too much to drink," the second man said smoothly. "We're taking her back to her tent to sleep it off." Marcus stepped closer. "Then you won't mind if I call medical? Festival's got a medical tent right over there. They can check her out, make sure she's okay?" The first man's jaw tightened. "We've got it handled, friend." "I don't think you do." That's when Festival security arrived. 2 guys in yellow vests, probably called by the men. "Problem here?" "Yeah," the polo shirt man said quickly, pointing at Marcus. "This biker's harassing us and our friend." The security guards looked at Marcus, taking in the leather vest with its patches, marking him as a member of the Crimson Devils MC, the tattoos running down his arms, the scars on his knuckles. Then they looked at the two clean-cut men in business casual, the kind of guys who looked like they worked in tech or finance. "You need to move along," one guard said to Marcus. "This girl's in trouble," Marcus said evenly, keeping his voice calm. "Look at her eyes. She's been drugged. She doesn't even know where she is." "She's drunk," one of the polo shirt men insisted. "Look, we appreciate this guy's concern, but she's our friend, and we're taking care of her." Marcus looked at the girl. "What's your name, sweetheart?" She stared at him, struggling to focus. I don't see." Marcus turned to security. "She doesn't even know her own name." "That's not drunk. That's drugged," second security guard sighed. "Look, man, we appreciate your concern, but we can't detain people because they've had too much to drink. This is a music festival. People party. And let me talk to her alone for 1 minute. If she says she's fine and wants to go with them, I'll back off." "Sir," the first guard said, his hand moving to his radio, "if you don't back off right now, we're going to have to remove you from the festival." Marcus's fists clenched. Every instinct in his body screamed at him to physically stop this, to grab the girl and get her to safety. But he knew exactly what would happen if he did. He'd get arrested for assault. The girl would disappear into a van. And these traffickers would vanish before the cops even finished his booking paperwork. He needed proof. He needed backup. He needed to be smart. "Fine," Marcus said, stepping back with his hands raised. "But I'm watching. And if anything happens to her, I'm coming for you." The men smirked, that confident smile of people who think they've won, and guided the girl through the VIP gate. She stumbled as she walked, held upright by their grip on her arms. Marcus pulled out his phone the second they disappeared and called his club president, a man called Hammer. "Hammer, I need the boys now. We got a situation. If you think Marcus is right to call his club, drop a motorcycle emoji in the comments within 20 minutes. 8 Crimson Devils members were spread across the festival grounds. Leather vests, sharp eyes, moving through the crowd like wolves who'd caught a scent. They gathered near the bike parking area, a dozen Harleys lined up, and Marcus briefed them quickly. Trafficking operation. 2 men, polo shirts and khakis, took a drugged girl through VIP Gate C about 15 minutes ago. I need eyes on all VIP sections, staff areas, parking lots, and exits. Look for girls who look out of it, men who don't match the festival vibe, vans, anything." Bulldog, a massive man in his 50s with a gray beard that reached his chest, spoke up. "You sure about this, Reaper?" Marcus's jaw tightened. "I'm sure." They all knew about Kayla. None of them questioned him again. They just nodded and prepared to move. Ghost, their youngest member and tech specialist, pulled out a tablet. "I can hack into the festival Wi-Fi, maybe access their security camera feeds if their system's not too locked down." "Do it," Marcus said. "I want eyes everywhere. They won't expect us." The crew split up. Bulldog took the north entrance. Viper covered the east side. Razor watched the main parking area. The others spread throughout the festival grounds, blending into the crowd, despite the cuts that marked them as 1% bikers. Marcus circled back to VIP Gate C, but stayed at a distance, watching. He positioned himself near a merchandise tent with a clear view of the gate, and he waited. 30 minutes later, he saw it happen again. Another girl, this one younger, maybe 18, being escorted through the same gate by a different pair of men. Same style, polo shirts and nice jeans, same calm efficiency. The girl had that same glassy look, moving like her body belonged to someone else. Marcus's phone buzzed. Text from Viper, positioned near the north exit. Saw 2 girls loaded into a white van. License plate captured. Sending photos? Second later, the image came through. White cargo van, no windows in the back, license plate clear in the photo. Marcus forwarded it immediately to Detective Chen with a message. Active trafficking operation at Thunder Rock Festival. Multiple victims. This van is involved. How fast can you get here? His phone rang within seconds. Marcus, I got your message and the photo. What exactly are you seeing? A trafficking ring operating inside the festival, using VIP areas as collection points. At least 3 victims so far that I've personally seen, probably more. They're being moved through VIP gates and loaded into vans. There was a pause, the sound of Detective Chen moving quickly, probably already heading to her car. I'm mobilizing a task force right now. But Marcus, listen to me very carefully. Do not engage. These operations are run by dangerous people. Just observe, document, and let us handle the arrests. How long until you get here? 45 minutes. Maybe 30 if I can get a chopper. Marcus looked at the VIP gate. Another girl was being led toward it right now, held up by a man on each side. Detective, these girls don't have 45 minutes. Every minute we wait, they're being moved, drugged more, put in vans. Once they leave this festival, they disappear. Marcus, I understand, but he hung up and texted Ghost. I need to see what you've got. Ghost's voice crackled over the radio channel they were using, old-school bike-to-bike communicators. Reaper, get to the west parking lot. You need to see this. Marcus jogged through the crowd, weaving between groups of festival goers who had no idea what was happening in the shadows of their good time. He found Ghost sitting in the back of his pickup truck with a laptop open, his fingers flying across the keyboard. I'm into their security system, Ghost said without looking up. Wasn't even that hard. They're using default passwords. Look at this. Turn the screen toward Marcus. Security camera footage from various angles throughout the festival, all time-stamped from the past 6 hours. I wrote a simple program to flag movement patterns that match what you described. The footage sped up, and Ghost's program highlighted specific individuals with red boxes. Marcus watched as the pattern became clear and horrifying. Over the past 6 hours, at least 9 girls had been escorted through various VIP gates by well-dressed men who appeared and disappeared, without ever staying to enjoy the festival. Using the VIP areas as collection points, Ghost said quietly. Look, they all exit through the same service gate. There's a loading zone there, away from the main crowd. That's where the vans are. Marcus felt sick. This wasn't opportunistic. This was organized, professional, a machine that had probably been operating at festivals for years. His phone rang again. Detective Chen. I'm 20 minutes out with a tactical team. Marcus, please tell me you haven't done anything stupid. Marcus looked at the screen. Another girl was being led toward the service gate right now, in real time. Define stupid. Marcus, these girls are being loaded into vans as we speak. You've got 20 minutes. They've got 5 before they're gone forever. Do not engage. That's an order. You can't order me, detective. I'm not a cop, and I'm asking. As someone who respects what you're trying to do, please wait for us. Marcus closed his eyes. He thought about Kayla, about the security footage of her leaving that concert venue, about the 12 years of wondering what happened to her, where she ended up, if she was still alive somewhere, if she ever hoped someone would come for her. I couldn't save my sister, Marcus said quietly. But I can save them. He hung up. If you do the same thing, comment save them now below. Marcus gathered his brothers in the parking lot. All 8 of them stood in a circle, their cuts marking them as men who lived outside society's rules. Men who'd spent their lives being called criminals and troublemakers and worse. Here's the situation, Marcus said. We've got maybe 20 to 30 minutes before these girls are gone forever. Cops are coming, but not fast enough. If we wait, people die. If we act, we might all go to jail. The club could lose everything. Hammer, the president, looked at each of them. He was in his 50s, had built the Crimson Devils from 3 guys with bikes to a respected charter with 60 members. He had a wife, a mortgage, grandkids. He had everything to lose. Reaper, he said slowly, if we do this and it goes sideways, we're all getting arrested. Our bikes get impounded. The club gets investigated. We could lose our charter. Are you absolutely sure? Marcus's voice cracked slightly, the first time any of them had heard emotion from him in years. I couldn't save Kayla. I watched her disappear, and I couldn't stop it. I've lived with that for 12 years. I can save these girls. I have to. Silence fell over the group. The distant sound of music from the festival. the laughter and joy of people having the time of their lives. Felt like it was happening in a different universe. Then Bulldog stepped forward, his massive frame blocking out the setting sun. "I'm in. Let's go get them." One by one, the others nodded. Viper, Razor, Ghost, Hammer, even the prospects. Young guys, barely in the club. Hammer exhaled slowly. "All right, but we do this smart. No violence unless absolutely necessary. We document everything. Cameras rolling on phones, body cams, if anyone has them. This is citizen's arrest. We're gathering evidence for the cops." "Clear." "Clear," they said in unison. Ghost was already pulling out small body cameras, the kind cyclists use. "I bought these last month for the club ride. Didn't think I'd use them for this." The plan came together quickly. 4 members would block the service gate exit with their bikes, creating a physical barrier the vans couldn't pass. 2 members, Marcus and Viper, would enter the VIP section to locate and, if possible, extract victims. 2 members would stay mobile on bikes, ready to follow or intercept any vehicle that tried to run. Ghost would monitor the security cameras and coordinate everyone via radio. "If guns come out, we retreat immediately," Hammer ordered. "Lives matter more than arrests. We slow them down, document everything, and let the cops do the dangerous part." "Understood?" Everyone nodded, but Marcus knew the truth. If they found those girls and the traffickers tried to take them, there would be no retreating. Some lines you don't let people cross, no matter what. They moved into position like a military operation. Silent hand signals and years of riding together, creating an almost telepathic coordination. Marcus and Viper approached VIP Gate C, and Marcus flashed a vendor pass he'd borrowed from a sympathetic food truck owner earlier. The security guard barely glanced at it before waving them through. Inside, the VIP section was a different world from the main festival. Less crowded, more expensive drinks being served, plush seating areas with bottle service. People who paid extra to feel special. And in the back corner, a curtained-off section marked Artist Lounge staff only. Marcus and Viper approached. A security guard Marcus hadn't seen before stepped in front of them. This guy was different from the festival security out front. Bigger, more alert. With the kind of presence that said former military or law enforcement. "Hey, this area is restricted," he said flatly. Marcus kept his voice low and calm. "We're looking for a missing girl. Blonde, early 20s, drugged. She came through the VIP gate about 45 minutes ago. We think she's back there." The guard's face didn't change. "Don't know what you're talking about. Move along." Viper noticed the guard's earpiece. It wasn't standard festival security gear. It was the kind of discreet communication system that professionals use. Marcus tried again. "Look, man, if you're just doing your job and don't know what's happening back there, fine. Walk away right now and you're just a guard who didn't know. But if you do know what's going on behind that curtain, you're an accessory to a federal felony, human trafficking. And cops are literally on their way right now. So you've got about 2 seconds to decide which side of this you want to be on." The guard hesitated. His hand moved toward his radio. Marcus didn't wait. He pushed past, shoving the curtain aside with Viper right behind him. What he saw made his vision go red. 6 girls, ages ranging from maybe 17 to early 20s, sitting on couches in various states of consciousness, some staring at nothing, some slumped over, all with that same glassy-eyed look. 3 men in suits stood around the room, not dressed like festival security or staff, dressed like businessmen. A folding table held a row of drinks, obviously laced with whatever they were using. One of the men turned when Marcus entered. "Who the hell are you?" "This is a private." Marcus held up his phone, camera recording. "Everyone stay exactly where you are. Police are 90 seconds out. If you run, you'll just make this worse for yourselves." For a moment, nobody moved. Then one of the men bolted for a back exit. Viper, who'd been a linebacker in high school, tackled him into a table, sending drinks crashing. Another man pulled a gun from a shoulder holster. Marcus's world slowed down. He'd been in situations like this before, back in the day when club wars were more common, when disputes were settled with fists, and sometimes worse. He saw the man's finger moving toward the trigger, saw the calculation in his eyes. "Put it down," Marcus said, his voice steel. "You fire that weapon, and every cop in this festival comes running. You'll never make it out." "You're making a huge mistake," the armed man said. "You have no idea who you're dealing with, who you're messing with. Human traffickers. I know exactly who you are." Behind him, Marcus heard the roar of motorcycles outside, Hammer and the others blocking the exits like they'd planned. The armed man heard it too, his eyes darting toward the sound. "That's my club," Marcus said. 8 bikers outside and more coming. "Every exit is blocked. You've got nowhere to go." The man's hand shook slightly. He was making calculations, weighing options. He's probably realizing for the first time that this wasn't going according to plan. Then sirens. Faint at first, then growing louder. Multiple vehicles coming fast. Detective Chen's voice boomed from outside, amplified by a megaphone. "This is the state police. We have the area surrounded. Drop your weapons and come out with your hands up." The man's face went pale. The gun wavered. Marcus took a step forward. "Last chance. Drop it, and you might see a courtroom. Keep holding it, and you won't see tomorrow." The gun clattered to the floor. Marcus kicked it away and immediately positioned himself between the traffickers and the girls. Viper had the man he'd tackled pinned to the floor. The third man had his hands up, smart enough not to try anything. Within seconds, tactical officers in full gear swarmed through every entrance. Detective Chen came through the main curtain with her weapon drawn, quickly assessing the situation. "Secure the suspects," she ordered. Her team moved with practiced efficiency. Cuffing the 3 men and the security guard outside who tried to stop Marcus, Marcus stayed by the girls, his large frame creating a wall between them and everyone else until the paramedics arrived. If this moment had you holding your breath, type justice in the comments. The next 2 hours were organized chaos. 6 girls were carefully escorted to ambulances, paramedics checking their vitals, starting for fluids to flush the drugs from their systems, speaking in soft voices and trying not to add to their trauma. Police swarmed the festival grounds, shutting down the VIP sections, checking security footage, making arrests. By the time the sun fully set, 9 men were in handcuffs. The 3 from the artist lounge, the security guard, 2 van drivers, and shockingly, one of the festival's logistics coordinators who had been facilitating the operation by providing access to restricted areas and looking the other way. Detective Chen approached Marcus as he leaned against his bike, hands still shaking slightly from adrenaline. The rest of the Crimson Devils stood nearby, giving statements to officers. "You're lucky nobody got shot," she said without preamble. "I know. It could have blown the whole operation. If they'd started shooting, if they'd gotten away, if you'd contaminated evidence. But they didn't. And we didn't." Detective Chen looked at him for a long moment. "You're also a damn hero. We've been trying to crack this ring for 2 years. They've been operating at festivals across 5 states. Tonight, you handed us everything we needed to shut them down completely." Marcus shook his head. "I just did what anyone should do. Most people don't," she said quietly. "Most people look away. They convince themselves it's not their problem, that someone else will handle it, that they're probably wrong about what they're seeing. You didn't. You saw something, and you acted." One of the rescued girls, now wrapped in a blanket and with clearer eyes, approached them. A female officer stayed close, but the girl had asked to speak to Marcus. "You're the one who stopped them?" she asked, her voice small. Marcus nodded, her eyes filled with tears. "I don't even remember most of it. I remember being at the main stage and then a guy said he could get me backstage to meet the band. He seemed nice, normal. He gave me a drink and then nothing. Just fragments. Being moved. Voices. And then you were there." Her voice broke. "If you hadn't been paying attention, if you hadn't cared, what would have happened to me?" Marcus's voice was rough when he answered. "That doesn't matter now. You're safe. That's all that matters." She stepped forward and hugged him, this stranger who'd saved her life. And Marcus stood there awkwardly, this big. A scarred biker who'd spent his life being feared, being hugged by someone who saw him as a guardian angel, When she pulled back, she looked at the Crimson Devil's patch on his vest. Everyone always says to be afraid of people like you, but you saved us. After she walked away, Detective Chen said quietly, "Her name's Rachel. She's 19. College student from 2 states over, here with friends for her birthday." She texted her mom before that drink, said she was having the best night of her life. Marcus closed his eyes. "The others have similar stories," Chen continued. "Normal girls having fun, targeted by predators who are experts at blending in, at earning trust, at making people disappear. Because of you, they get to go home." 3 months later, Marcus sat in a community center he never thought he'd enter voluntarily. The Crimson Devil's MC had been invited to speak at a trafficking awareness event. And somehow, Marcus had been volunteered to tell his story. He stood at a podium, looking out at 200 people, families and community leaders and law enforcement and survivors. Public speaking terrified him more than any fight he'd ever been in. "I'm not good at this," he started, his voice rough. "I'm a biker. I've spent most of my life on the wrong side of the law. I've done things I'm not proud of." He paused, gathering courage. 12 years ago, my little sister Kayla went to a concert. She was 17. Bright, funny, full of life. She never came home. The case went cold, and I spent 12 years carrying that guilt. That feeling that I should have done something, should have protected her. His voice steadied. 3 months ago at Thunder Rock Festival, I saw a girl who looked like Kayla did in that security footage. Same drugged eyes, same confusion, being led away by men who had no business being near her. And I had a choice. I could tell myself it wasn't my problem, that festival security would handle it, that I was probably wrong. Or I could do something. He looked around the room. "I'm here because I want you to know the signs. Traffickers look normal. They're polite, well-dressed, they blend in. They target people at festivals, concerts, malls, anywhere crowds gather. They use drugs to incapacitate victims. They operate in plain sight because most people don't pay attention." A young woman in the front row raised her hand. Marcus recognized her. "Rachel, the girl from the festival. What do you want people to take away from this?" she asked. Marcus thought about Kayla, about the 12 years of grief, about the 6 girls who got to go home because someone paid attention. "Trust your instincts," he said. "If something feels wrong, it probably is. Don't worry about being embarrassed or causing a scene. Don't assume someone else will handle it. See something, say something, do something. And know that help can come from the most unexpected places." Rachel stood up. "Because of you, I'm finishing college next year. Because of you, I got to go home to my family. Because of you, 6 of us get to have futures." She looked at the audience. "Heroes don't always wear badges. Sometimes they wear leather and ride motorcycles." The audience applauded, and Marcus felt something he hadn't felt in 12 years. Not closure, Kayla was still gone, but purpose. Meaning, the sense that maybe, just maybe, he could turn his loss into something that mattered. After the event, Detective Chen approached him. "We got the full network," she said. "Your bus led us to operations in 8 other states. 47 arrests total. Over 100 victims recovered or accounted for. The trial starts next month, and every single one of those traffickers is facing decades in prison." "Good," Marcus said simply. "There's something else." She handed him a folder. "We've been building a program, training volunteers to spot trafficking at public events. Security guards, venue staff, festival workers. We want people who know what to look for. We need someone to help design the training." Marcus looked at the folder.
"Why me?"
"Because you lived it. Because you saw what trained security missed. Because when it mattered, you didn't hesitate." She paused. "And because there are more Kaylas out there. More Rachels. And they need people like you watching." 6 months after Thunder Rock Festival, the Crimson Devil's MC had become official safety volunteers at concerts and festivals throughout the state. They wore their cuts and rode their bikes, but now they also wore credentials, marking them as trained trafficking spotters. The club that society had feared for decades became the guardians that parents thanked. Marcus rode his Harley down the highway at sunset, the engine's rumble filling the spaces where guilt used to live. In his vest pocket, he carried 2 photos now: Kayla, forever 17 in his memory, and Rachel, alive and smiling at her college graduation. He couldn't save his sister. That truth would always hurt. But he'd save 6 others. And through training, awareness, and refusing to look away, maybe dozens more would be saved by people who learned to see what he saw. Sometimes the people society fears most are the ones who stand up when everyone else looks away. Sometimes justice wears leather and rides on 2 wheels. Sometimes the most important thing a person can do is simply pay attention, trust their instincts, and refuse to be a bystander when evil operates in plain sight. Because predators rely on people looking away. They count on bystanders, assuming someone else will handle it. They thrive in the gaps where nobody's watching. Marcus would never stop watching. If this story changed how you see bikers, type "respect the cut" in the comments and share this video so others learn the warning signs. Your awareness could save a life. And if you've ever ignored your instincts about a situation, trust them next time. Sometimes that uncomfortable feeling is the only thing standing between a victim and the worst day of their life. Be the person who pays attention. Be the one who acts. Be someone's hero, even if you never thought you could be.